How do biblical characters teach about covenant relationships? Have you ever wondered how the stories of biblical characters can help us understand the idea of covenant relationships? These relationships are not just about agreements, they are about deep commitments that shape our lives. Let's take a closer look at how these characters illustrate this concept. A covenant in the Bible is a serious agreement between two parties, often between God and people. It involves mutual commitments that go beyond a simple contract. For example, God's covenants are often sealed with signs or rituals, showing the importance of faithfulness over time. One of the most notable examples is Abraham. God called him into a covenant, promising to make him a great nation. In return, Abraham was to trust God, leave his homeland, and practice circumcision as a sign of this covenant. His story teaches us about faith and obedience, showing that God remains faithful to his promises, even when they take generations to fulfill. Then there is Moses and the nation of Israel. At Mount Sinai, God made a covenant with Israel, giving them the law to guide their lives. This covenant included blessings for following God's ways and consequences for turning away. It teaches us about holiness and the responsibility we have to one another as a community. Another powerful example is the friendship between David and Jonathan. Their covenant reflects loyalty and love, showing that these relationships also apply to our friendships. They committed to protect and support each other, highlighting the importance of mutual support in our lives. David's relationship with God is also significant. God promised David that his throne would be established forever, pointing to the coming Messiah. This teaches us that covenant relationships involve divine promises and human faithfulness, even when we fail. It reminds us of God's grace and his long-term plan for humanity. From these stories, we learn that covenant relationships requiring trust and commitment. They encourage us to reflect it on our own relationships with God and others. Signs and rituals, like circumcision in Abraham's covenant, symbolize our identity and belonging. Covenants also involve responsibilities, teaching us about loyalty and love. They reminded us that our relationships should be built on mutual support. Finally, understanding how these covenants unfold over time helps us see God's continuous plan. It shows us our place within that plan, especially as it points to Jesus as the fulfillment of God's promises. Biblical characters teach us about covenant relationships by showing how God initiates and maintains these agreements. They shape our identity, community, and purpose, guiding us in how we relate to God and each other in faithful, committed ways.